Greetings for this Juneteenth 2026. Putting this out there to synthesize with a brother that is roaming this planet who I've grown quite fond of. Ran across him on social media and have definitely come to appreciate his insights, his intellect, his mind. You know what I'm saying? So, that being said, I'm not a Juneteenth kind of gal. I'm not a celebrate Dr. King holiday kind of gal. I'm not a Black History Month gal. I'm definitely not a Black History Month kind of gal. For obvious reasons, without being disrespectful. Not because I think there's anything inherently wrong with these things. I just think it's kind of sometimes uh, we put the cart before the horse. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like dancing in the slave quarters sometimes to me. And so I haven't really come to any conclusions about those types of designations. I'm not into holidays without holiness, or wholeness. I'm not into, parades without purpose. You know what I'm saying? Without passion behind them. Without something going down. You know what I'm saying? Or up, so to speak. Uh, that being said, this brother has some very keen insights on what he's thinking Juneteenth is about or should be about or how we should look at it. And when I say we, I'm talking about Black America. You know what I'm saying in particular. Um, and so I'm gonna throw in, my thoughts on it because I took the time to think about it because of him. So the way and side note, I, sometimes I'm not big on details, and I do apologize for that. I don't always think they're necessary, um, and I'm not always big on looking things up, going down rabbit holes, where the Mad Hatter lives. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to chase, the white rabbit with the clock. You know what I'm saying? Time is of the essence, y'all. King said, "This is the fierce urgency of now, and there is a point at which it will be too late." So, just like all of you, I've got to be very, conscientious about how I spend my time. You know what I mean? So, that being said, the way I understand Juneteenth, without looking it up, is it's a day that we acknowledge or that happened where there were slaves, I think in Texas, that were working the toilet and stuff like that, and a carpetbagger or somebody came by Pony Express and said, "What y'all doing out here? Y'all free, right? You no longer have to do that without pay, right? Or do they knock on the shack door and say, "Hello, freedom, freedom," And it's like, what? I don't know how it went down, but that's the way I understand it. There's these group of slaves in Texas who find out many moons later that they are free. And they've been working for free for much longer than they needed to. Okay, and I could be wrong. However, I think I got the sentiment of it. So I think we all have a Juneteenth. You know what I'm saying? We do. We do. How could we not? Right? We live, if we live in the American culture, um, you're talking about, we'll say, oh, there's racism in the police force, there's institutionalized racism, there's systematic racism, in the education system, in our social groups, at my workplace, and not think that it's in me, not think that I too have racism, the effects of racism running through my mind. That wouldn't make sense. It'd be illogical, right? And I can tell that because much of what we do and as we move, we are in the flow of the white dominated culture, right? Dominated by white thought. How do I know this? I can tell by the art that's being produced. I can tell by the music. I can tell by the movies. I can tell by the television shows. I can tell by these things. I can tell by the news clips. I can tell by sports. I can tell by what we think is important and how much time we spend entertaining ourselves over it, right? Thinking we're doing something. I want to say this about freedom, about being legally free. They planned for it, brothers and sisters. It wasn't like Rosa Parks, didn't want to get up because she was tired one day and a spark started flying. That is not how it went down. You are talking decades and decades of planning and intentional purpose, from setting legal precedents to Brown versus Board of Education to the civil rights movement to today. You are talking about men and women who came before us and said, we know they're coming. We know the kind of place we want them to be living in. We know what we want to be going down here. We've lost brothers and sisters, killed, murdered, assassinated behind freedom. Whether they were grasping for it with their very lives or whether they were fighting for it with their very lives. And here we are, dancing in the slave quarters. Bone Thugs and Harmony has a line. We done partied overtime. We done partied overtime. We've still partied. We are still partying overtime. Because we're not looking in the mirror individually and saying, have I acknowledged Juneteenth in my person? Have I done that? Because if I have, then I am actively taking responsibility for releasing my mind from slavery, from enslavement. I'm reading. I am watching how I take care of myself. I'm watching how I treat my relationships. I'm watching how I role model for my children and my grandchildren. I'm watching how I treat people. I'm watching what I do with my money. I'm watching what I do with my person and how I navigate and manage my life. This is so important because we want to celebrate Juneteenth. It's like dancing in the slave quarters. If you're still in the flow of the white dominated culture and not doing nothing about it actively, alcoholism, drug use, even recreational, all of it, it's affecting how we think and in turn the decisions that we make, right? Am I still smoking? You know what I'm saying? Um, am I codependent? Am I living out my childhood wounds and my trauma? And I get it. I get it. But at some point, I can't keep pointing the finger out there and not looking what's coming back at me, right? That being said, I do and we just don't have the luxury of just moving without intention. We don't have that luxury if we're talking about children and grandchildren and even the quality of our own life. You know, I get some of the art. When I say art, music, productions, television shows, books, all kinds of things. Sports promos, sports themselves, in a way. You know what I'm saying? Are not without intention, because if they are, you're doing it for the money. Say that. Say that. Say you're selling out. You know what I'm saying? Say I'm a give up this for that, and realize that you are contributing to the enslavement of the black mind. accept it. And and even with my MCs, I set putting my MCs aside for a moment. You got to remember, I I get the 80s, the 90s. I get it, y'all. We're moving into the first quarter. You know what I'm saying? Of the 2000s, right? I'm talking much of y'all artists are grown, but your message hasn't grown. Your voice hasn't grown. And I've been listening, you know, Ice T, put it like this. And brother, if I'm messing up your quote, please forgive me, because I'm really talking about the intention and it is pure. And I just so dug this description of rap. He said, rap is a conversation between two brothers, and the white man has picked up the phone. What? I was like, what? Okay. Which means that in rap, in hip hop, there are clues, right? I'm listening for clues, whether they are consciously coming out of the MC's mouth or subconsciously coming out of what he's seeing or moving or talking about, the good and the bad and the ugly. But I'm listening for certain dimes being dropped along the way, right? And have been very useful putting it out there. So, that being said, back to Juneteenth. So I used to teach, and there was an artist, an MC, and I thought it was one MC, and it was saying, "Be intelligent when you put them in check." I was like, "What? Be intelligent when you put them in check?" Okay, all right then. So I would tell the kids that, "Be intelligent when you put them in check. Be intelligent about it. Be intelligent about it." And that way, there's no need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? That's cute. There's no need to do that, right? Because that's what will happen as we start checking people and checking the system and checking what's going on. We end up hurting ourselves, putting ourselves in harm's way. You know what I'm saying? Where stuff is going to come back on us. But if we're intelligent when we put them in check, who I thought was Tupac, but it's actually Too Short, my MC coming out of the Bay Area. That's a brother right there. At any rate, at one point anyway. So I listened to this stuff and yeah, our ability to communicate is infiltrated. It's limited. And so to be using our creativity and our imagination in ways that just go along with the flow all the time, I take issue with that. I do. They knew we were coming. Do we not know they are coming? Are we not willing to live that way? We're willing to walk in the freedom that others have purchased for us, but we're not willing to pay down the price and lay down the price and pay the cost for those coming after us. I don't know about that. So the song of the day is Tupac featuring Bob Marley, Ghetto in Heaven. Now, I don't know if it was posted on YouTube about 7 months ago. So I truly hope it's not no AI generated song because I'll be like devastated. So I'm listening to it like it's the real deal. But that's the song of the day, y'all. It is. There's a book called For Whom the Bell Tolls. And I think the details again, I think it's about this plague that's happening at some point in time, and the bell rings every time someone's going to be dying or dead or something because of it. And, and people, who's the bell tolling for? Who's the bell tolling for? I want to say, with the N word. Brothers and sisters, ask not for whom the bells toll. The bell tolls for thee. The bell of death tolls for thee. And that's the real, right? So, that being said, Yeah, I want to encourage you this Juneteenth before you barbecue, before you hang out, before you play spades, before you do what it is that you, before you go to the parade. I don't know, do they have parades on Juneteenth? I have no idea. But before you do all that, look yourself in the mirror. Am I free? Have I intentionally set my mind free? Because if I'm in a white dominated arena, it is my responsibility to recognize and release my mind. Be intelligent when you put them in check. Me, y'all. Peace. Juneteenth 2026.